Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. This is going to be a video kind of directed for everybody in Knighthoods right now to try not to slack on their Knighthoods, and most importantly, get that 1200 points, which is really super important to get because you get 50 free, not really free, but you get 50 anvils a week, which are used to re-roll your SSR gear, something you absolutely should be going for. One thing I can obviously say is Red Gowther is bonkers here. There's not really anybody you can substitute to make this as easy as it is with Red Gowther. Kind of same with the other two people too, the Jericho and the Helbram. They're pretty easy to get through the coin shop, and you should theoretically have them by now if you're at the level to be able to do something like this. So this is the team I'm using. If you don't have Gowther yet, he will be available in the coin shop eventually. You can also use Gilthunder instead of him, Green Gilthunder, the SR, and it works. You will get less points and you will have to reset a couple more times to get your buffs and everything to line up, but you should be able to get that 1200 no problem as long as you have upgraded gear and stuff. And I'm using gear that I've had for weeks now, for like 2 to 3 weeks, so this is not like super intense stuff. This is stuff you should have after a couple days of auto farming overnight, so I wouldn't worry too much if you're not at this level yet, but it shouldn't take you too long to get here. So we're using Jericho. This is the important one. She's the one that's going to be doing all your deeps. My spell is at 4 to 5, I think, her ultimate. 4 to 6, I mean, for her ultimate tier. And her gear, we just kind of focused on attack and crit damage. It's not perfect gear. We've got the crit damage and attack set there, and the sub crit damage set here too. That's what we're using on her. And that's honestly the only thing that really matters are her stats. Everybody else just kind of needs to stay alive. I'm using a level 50 SSR Helbram for a buff here, and the reason why we like Helbram so much is because he stacks his buffs. His buff here, attack related stats by 30%, is huge. So that's also your crit damage, that's your crit rate, that's your pierce rate and everything like that. Also get buffs from the third tier of Gowther, 20% basic stats, and these don't always stack together. You need to be really careful. Like from what I understand, Gilthunder and Arthur, for example, don't really stack together because they kind of do the same thing. And then our other damage here we get is from our freeze level 3, 200% extra damage. This is actually the most important buff. And if you don't have Gowther, that's the one you should get. Before I had Gowther, I was doing a level 3 freeze buff, and then like a level 1 Gilthunder, and then like a level 2 Helbram was what I was doing when that was happening. And that was getting me like 900k crits or something like that. So this isn't a god team by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of min-maxing I can still do. There's a lot of stuff I can still do to get this done. That's not the button I meant to press. So we're just going to show you how I personally do it. There might be better ways, but I know people are struggling, and I have no problem doing this every week, except the weeks I forget to do it, which is why we're doing this on reset day today. And I'm not going for super ultra high scores. I'm just going for 1200 plus, which is enough to get top 1% for your guild. And we also had a bunch of people who were nowhere near 1200 plus, which is why I'm making this video here. So let's just go to the boss battle. And we're just going to do normal first, because that's the important one. I am going to eat some crit damage food. We have 7 tries. I use chicken rice ball with butter. I'm sure there's other things we can do. This order is semi-important too. Gowther needs to be on your left side, and then preferably Jericho to the right, but it doesn't really matter too much. And the idea is just to do as many of the sub things that you can. You get little bonus points here and there for everything. And the longer you take, the more points you get taken away. So you kind of want to get your damage done on like the 4th turn or 5th turn without losing too many points. So again, our goal for first turn, and different people do this different ways. This is again how I do it. This might not be exactly how you're supposed to do it. It's just how I do it. What I do is I get rid of every card I can get rid of on the left side, basically, to get rid of all the non-buffs, and then I use both of Jericho's cards. This puts the Gother ability on the left side, so that means he can get a combination next turn. And then that leaves me with a buff, and then one of the... wow. Okay, so that is a hand. So this is gonna be a good one here, assuming we actually crit with Jericho. The other thing is too, with low HP like I have here, there's a very, very, very good chance that you just die, and then you've just got to do it again. That's just part of this process here. So what I'm going to do now, I've already got enough of my buffs. These 2 buffs are level 3. Gother is insane. And then we've got the attack stack buff here. So all we're going to be doing right now for the next 2 turns is just kind of moving around Jericho's cards a little bit here, just to make sure we get her ultimate. If I use her card right now, there's a chance I do not get her card next turn, and then I die, or not die, but I lose because I don't have another Jericho card to get her ult. And if you haven't seen how good Gother is, here's an example, because he is flipping ridiculous. So honestly, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do that first. I don't want to do too much damage, so we're gonna do that first. We can then use this because it's for 3 turns. We can then use Helbram's here because it's also for 3 turns, just in case they die here. And I'm not going to use this or this or this, just because, or one of the left 2, because I think it might kill the boss. So we're just going to do this instead. It doesn't kill the boss because we didn't crit or anything there, but that would have been horrible. And you can see we get points on the left side here for doing different things. So I theoretically should have used the tier 3 of his ability there. That was definitely a misplay by me. So as long as he doesn't kill Jericho here, and as long as Jericho crits, the more moves you use on Jericho, the higher chance she has to crit every time she gets 10% extra. So we now have all of our buffs up. We're on the right turn. So what I'm going to do is just proc this here. I'm just going to do that just for the points, and then we're just going to go for it. I could push for a little bit more damage, but we've got our attack buff. We've got our Jericho damage here. And as long as she crits, we should get like 1.3 million or so, which is all we really need to get enough points. But I'm sure she's not going to. Why would she crit on an awesome showcase like this? So that is the process, and we just missed a 50% chance there to crit. Because of that, we're just gonna do it again. So I'll see you in a little second here once we get a once we get a crit, and I'll show you what the actual damage is dealt. It's too bad. That was the perfect setup for those buffs there. Just as another note here, there are going to be times like this where I have my buffs and I literally just didn't get any but the initial 2 Jericho cards. That's why some people on turn 1 just move their Jericho cards around. But if you do that instead, you run into the non-critting thing, because you need to use Jericho's cards to get that crit rate up to crit the skill 3. So the way I do it, this happens sometimes. It's a little unfortunate. But if we do get a Jericho card next turn, we'll be able to get a high enough score anyway. So we'll see here. We might as well show you that as well, and just hope we crit. So we actually don't want to do anything here, because if we do anything, we're probably going to kill, and we can't use Jericho's skill 3 because Jericho's skill 3 will kill as well. That's another thing people do if you don't have, or if you have too much damage. If you have too much damage, you often want to use Jericho's skill 3 first, and then her skill 2. I don't know why I call them skill 2 and skill 3. You want to use Jericho's damage first and then bleed second, so she doesn't do too much. So like this isn't going to be enough points now, so I will have to do this again. But if we live here, yeah. So that's one of the problems. I was hoping that wouldn't kill. Let's try again here. That run was dead anyway. Taking that extra turn, you lose a lot of points getting that happening. So let's just try again. We got some more food left. Okay, so I'm one turn too late on this. This is the turn after he used his ultimate, and I do think it's really, really important to show the fails in videos like this. I've seen other people do videos like this, or guides like this, and they don't show you how much you have to kind of screw around to get this going. So this test right here, we're going to have the attack buff. We're going to have the level 2 fairy wind, so we're not going to have level 3 fairy wind. We're going to have the level 3 freeze. And then we're going to have the Jericho buff one turn too late. So we can see how much points this gives us if she crits. And this is kind of the type of score you can expect. 1.33 million. And that's missing one buff. So if you're without go through, you probably have one less buff than that on average, I would say. So that's about the targets you can hopefully aim for. That gives us 886 points, or 901 points actually from that, which means we only need to get 300 from hard difficulty. And again, we were missing a buff and we were one turn too late there. So what I do from this point is I go into hard, and I take out my Hellbrim. I don't try to min-max hard. I put in King just to survive. That means I have to screw around with a couple things here. So we'll put like literally anything as the support. The goal for me here is make sure you're over 120 CP. So we'll give King a little bit of gear. We'll toss King the Hellbrim's gear, I guess. So we'll find Hellbrim here, give that the King. I do have Hellbrim, by the way, on my tankiest set I have, again, just to make sure he survives. We'll switch King with Dien, even though it doesn't really matter. I don't know why I'm changing the gear out, because like I said, it doesn't matter their gear as long as they survive. It's all about the Jericho. All about that base. Why did I say that? That's horrible. Pretend that didn't happen. So we are now going to just do this again. 129k CP. When I first started doing this, I had exactly 120 basically with the combat class food is how I pushed my way through. So if you're having trouble getting that 120k, try doing something like this. And I do not min-max this box at all yet. I theoretically could, and I could get a lot higher score, but it literally just doesn't matter for Mangoville right now, because as long as people are getting over 1200, which they're not, and you should be, we'll be getting top 1% no problem, and we're nowhere near top 3, and that's the next bonus. So I just go for the anvils, and that's about it. So we're going to do this the same way. We're just going to drop 2 Jericho's abilities here. We're going to drop the one on the left, so this one can combine, and then we're going to drop this one here. And we just have King here to heal. That's honestly it. And it's the same sort of setup as before. There is one less buff here because I have King, but it really isn't a big deal. And I don't min-max it, so I don't care if I take an extra turn or two. So I am going to combine these. And then I'm going to... Actually, am I going to do that? No, we're just going to do this. Combine them both like this. Just to save an ability here. Then we're going to move this. We're going to move... No, we're just going to move this. We're going to try to push for it here. We'll push for it. Make sure she has her ult. And then hopefully we get one more buff card here. And then we didn't. Of course we didn't. So we're going to hope next turn we get a buff card. And honestly, at this point, I sometimes just go for it, just because I don't care enough on this battle. So we're just going to go for it with a level 2 freeze buff and like without a chance to crit, just to see what happens, because I don't think I'm surviving next turn with my HP right now. So again, we have one buff. We'll do like 280,000 damage if we crit. Yeah, 468k. So that was like a 280 if we didn't crit. And obviously we can get a boatload more score than that if we really wanted to. And again, really important to show you not min-max, because min-maxing would be super easy. So that gives us 1557 points. We are then 257 points over the 1200 requirement that I'm trying to push right now. And we've got all our anvils. 50 anvils a week is insane. You need to be getting that. And this is honestly not hard at all to do. And again, I have Gother. So if you don't have Gother, it might be harder for you. But all that means is you need to spend more time RNG pushing through it to try to get those cards right. And I did have the 1200 before Gother was a thing too. So it's something you can absolutely do. Just get your Knighthood bust done. Get your 1200 plus. You can do it. I trust you. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everybody.